This is Smokin Jamgrass. I'm Brian.
I'm Jolie, and we'd like to share with you the music we love, progressive bluegrass, and its roots. First and third Sundays of the month from 2 to 3 p.m. right here on KMUZ.
You and I headed straight into the west.
Good afternoon and welcome to Smokin Jamgrass, where we have a very special guest today.
We're super stoked today to have the incomparable, eclectic Danny Barnes. Woo! That's right, everybody. Lock up your daughters. From Northwest String Summit fame and founding member of Bad Livers, on top of a ton of other bands and people that he's worked with. We're so excited to have Danny Barnes on the phone with us today.
Yes.
His style, as a banjo player, of course, he's steeped in bluegrass, but he was really the first to blend punk and bluegrass with his first band, the Bad Livers, which has a major underground following, and they were on tour from 1990 to 2000. He also plays gospel and reggae and folk and Americana. I mean, he runs the gamut in his style. But we're gonna start off the show with one that we were actually lucky enough to be at, a Bad Livers reunion, almost 10 years after they broke up. Northwest String Summit, July 17th, 2009. They opened up with this. It's the first track off their first album of Delusions of Banjo, Uncle Lucius. And Danny Barnes is coming up after that as well. So let's all get in the cornfield. It's Smokin Jamgrass on KMUZ. Rip it.
My daddy's fine, do no wrong. I built a little home and worked away. I fell in love in the spring when the wedding bells did ring. I asked my sweetheart's daddy for her hand. I was raised up in the cornfield, Lucius is my name. I worked on it, I had a dollar from my pay till I seen the sun again. I got trouble coming around the bend. All the bright lights of the town turned my heart around. As long as I had money, my friend. The liquor did me in and let me get too thin. My family couldn't live with half a man. I was raised up in the cornfield, Lucius is my name. And I looked up, I love my baby, and I sing the song again. I got trouble coming down. is wasted. I'm going where they do not know my name. Another town won't see my heartache when my name won't be misused. No one to ask me if I'm loving one that proved to be untrue. I'm going down to the station where I go watching change. Time is wasted. I'm going where they do not know my name.
Was Bad Livers at the Northwest String Summit back in 09, opening their set out with Uncle Lucius into Going Where They Do Not Know My Name, song that Yonder Mountain used to cover all the time.
That is such a ripping song, and I am so glad that we played it. And you know what else I'm happy for? Is you. Happy anniversary, honey.
Happy anniversary, honey. 14 blissful, beautiful years.
Oh, my God.
Yay.
Well, it was almost that long ago that we saw this show, and with us today, the fantastic, we love him, you love him.
Genius.
On our own little radio station here in the Willamette Valley, KMUZ, it's Danny Barnes. Welcome to the show, Danny.
Oh, happy to do it. Yeah, I got a lot of fans down there and stuff like that. So I appreciate you playing those records and stuff.
Yeah, we love it. We pump your stuff regularly. Matter of fact,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You're such an inspiration to us. For the root of what we're doing here. I mean, you're kind of the foundation, buddy.
That's right. And we have friends that are always like, "Hey, play more Danny Barnes, more Bad Livers. Come on."
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever heard that. I'm glad that's the case. I appreciate y'all playing those records.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really cool band. I mean, the thing that was kind of important about the Bad Livers was we never did that thing where we sold out and cashed in, you know, like we never did that. Like we maintained our ethics all the way to the end, you know, and I think that's kind of hats off to Mark and myself on that regard, because we really had a sense of ethics and pride about what we were doing, and we really believed that what we was doing was really changing the world when we started, especially, you know, because when we started, people didn't even, if you wasn't born knowing about bluegrass or acoustic music or anything like that, you didn't know anything about it, you know, in 1985, 86, 87, you know.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't, you didn't see like rock guys on TV that would play an acoustic set or something like that. That wasn't the case. It was all, you know, it was pretty much rock bands, like two guitars, bass and drums, electric guitars, bass and drums. Was pretty much every band or keyboards or whatever, you didn't really see an upright bass or a mandolin or any of that, you know, except in bluegrass itself, you know.
Right.
Well, and you were so inventive, you know, with the whole the punk movement that came out of the late 70s and integrating, you know.
Well, see, Mark and I grew up as punk rock guys, you know, like we were the punk rock kids, and I bought that Sex Pistols record in 1977, I think.
Yep.
I think that's when I got a hold of it, and right in there, seeing the Ramones, I think on their second tour. I don't think I caught the first tour, but I saw the second tour of the Ramones.
Nice.
You know, I've seen the Clash, you know, a bunch of times back in the day, and
yeah,
all those kind of bands, you know.
Well, and yeah, I mean, you're really kind of, you guys, that Bad Livers, you were all the first to do that stuff, you know, the mixing of the gospel and the...
Well, you know, the music, what we looked at was, that was the way poor people could be cool, was in music.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, say Mark and I were into punk rock, and then I was a metal guy.
Yeah.
And then but we like bluegrass, and we like real hardcore country music, you know,
yes.
and like reggae and blues and jazz and punk rock, you know. So it's, you know, usually music of the working class, you know, like people that had regular jobs, just normal people that just had regular lives, you know. That was, to me, was kind of the significance of country music, was it allowed poor people to be cool, you know, and dress nice and have a reasonable, you know, presentation to the world as being, you know, worthy of some attention or respect or kindness or whatever, you know. And that's the way we took it when we were in the Bad Livers. You know, we were both just working class guys, and you know, we related to punk rock because that was really a kind of a working class thing, you know, at that time, you know.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to catch you on the. We were lucky to go to the first 11 summits, and I think you played almost all of them in different configurations, playing with Bill Frisell and so many different artists. You'd host the summit jams, and we were so pumped and psyched to see you because we never got to catch you. When you know, from 1990 to 2000, Bad Livers was
something like that. Yeah. That's about right. Yeah. We wherever you was, we just worked really hard. You know, we come up through here a bunch of times. You know, played. You know,
nice. Yeah,
we did a lot of road shows.
We were so excited to see you in 2009 at Summit. That was such a great reunition.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, that was good. And Mark and I, you know, we enjoyed. We're real proud of what we did. You know, I mean, we're real proud of it. Like the records, you know, like the records to me, they still sound viable records. Like if they came out now, they could come out now. You know,
yes.
They're viable records. It's not like they're, you know, they're not really. They're sort of timeless in a certain way. I'm not trying to brag about it, but
no, they are.
We were real proud of it. You know, we were real proud of that.
It's truth.
I just listened to Delusions of Banjo yesterday working, and yeah, I mean, it's just it's,
that was the first one we had. Yeah,
just groundbreaking stuff, Danny. Really, it's awesome.
It was nice. We got to make that on a tape machine and everything. That one was made on a really nice tape machine.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
And an old API console. It was an API console.
Did you guys meet in college?
Me and Mark?
Mm-hmm.
No, we were probably in our late 20s. We were just out of college, I guess.
Okay.
And we met in our late 20s in a band called Killbilly. That was kind of like a band there in Texas. Nice. And I met him in that band. Nice. And then I didn't stay in there very long. I did a couple tours with him, helped him with some stuff. And then wanted to just play my own music, and had met Mark, you know, and we were both just, you know, punk rock guys, and I was like a skater guy, and Mark knew those Zorlak guys, you know, he knew a lot of the dudes in the skate, like the Loco Gringos, and a lot of the guys that were in the skate world, and so we just hit it off, and both of us like Motorhead and, you know, Black Flag and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, we were lucky enough to catch you shoot last February down with the David Grisman Trio at the Shed in Eugene.
Cool.
Yeah, and we got we met up again after the show, and it was just so awesome to see you, you know, after coming out of the pandemic and not seeing much live music, and you know, as soon as we saw that you were coming down in the valley, we got our tickets, man, and we were right there.
I'm glad you did. Yeah, it's a real honor to play with David. It's a real honor to play with him, and he's one of my best friends here, and we play music all the time, and it's been a real blessing for me to have access to an intellect like his, has been a real blessing for me, and I don't take that lightly, and I study with him real hard. And, you know, I'd say probably in about 2 years of time working with him, he's about double my banjo playing, you know.
Yeah.
He's worked with so many of the greats, you know, like really everybody great he's worked with, you know, that I can think of. Even like guys like Porter Church and all that stuff who were kind of great, but you have to really, really know banjo picking to know about Porter Church or whatever, you know. But he's certainly recorded with Earl and Ralph Stanley and, you know, Bill Keith and everybody on the banjo, Bella, and everybody's recorded with him.
Yeah.
So he knows banjo playing pretty good, and he's a really great musician. He's really helped me a lot with getting my, you know, my sound together and sort of helped me focus my sound and stuff.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, he's a lot of help to me. Yeah, he's really great having, you know, it's like I call those guys true masters of music. You know, they're the guys who are they're out of my league. They're in another league, but I'm fortunate enough to be able to interface with them to a certain extent. Like guys like, Bill Frisell, you know, and John Paul Jones too, and David, and, you know, just all those guys that are just in another league, you know, with their music, you know, and stuff. And certain ones. There's this guy, Santiago Jimenez Jr. He's an accordion player back from where I'm from, and got to play with him some. He's a real master of music. And Ronnie Lane, I got to play some with him. He was in that band, The Faces, and he wrote a lot of great songs, Ronnie Lane.
Nice.
Yeah.
Different one. I got to play with Chubby Wise one time when I was a kid, and he was a master of music.
Wow.
And I got to play one time with Vassar Clements. I later on went to make like some recordings with him and knew Vassar a little bit. I didn't work with him as much as David did, but
right.
I got to play with Vassar one afternoon. I got to sit and play with him when I was a little bitty kid.
Oh.
And he was a real master of music, and that really influenced me a lot. I think I was about 14.
Wow.
I've had, you know, every now and then I get to play with these guys who are, you know, way out of my league, you know. It's really fun to be able to do that.
You know, I would say that they're not out of your league. Maybe the same league in a different universe or something like that.
Well, I don't know. I don't think. I appreciate you saying that, but those guys like John Hartford was like that. Like I knew Johnny. He's just on another. They're just on another level of creativity. You know that is like I don't even think he knew what he was doing really. I mean I think it just he was such a natural at it that I don't think he worked at it. It's not to say he didn't work at it. He worked at it really hard, but I think he was just a real natural at a lot of stuff. Even though he would have told you that's not the case. He would have told you it was all woodshed.
Honestly,
but I don't believe it.
The greatest ones seem to have a lot of humility, I'm noticing. Keep on learning, right? You have a lot of humility for a great artist like yourself.
I've been humiliated a lot. I've been humiliated. One time I was playing at the Rocky Grass Festival, and I was playing. It was during the day, and Earl was playing after me.
Oh man!
And I didn't think about it. I was just trying to do my show. I was sitting in I was helping a band out that needed a banjo guy. So I had to learn a whole bunch of music, and I was just trying to play. And I'm playing, and I'm in the middle of one of his vocabulary licks, and I look over in the wings, and he's standing there just looking right at me. You know?
Oh, boy.
And I immediately messed it up, like I've dropped the beat, you know, and everything, because I realized it'd be like if you were staying at someone's house and they came down the stairs and you had on their pajamas or something, you know. It's just kind of an embarrassing moment. Here I am playing his vocabulary, you know. And so it just embarrassed me. And anyway, I've been humiliated plenty of times.
Well, it's intimidating, you know, that so many.
Yeah, it's like it was like I'm literally in the middle of one of his phrases, you know. I'm like, oh, geez, I can't believe I'm sitting here doing this. This is embarrassing.
I think we've all had one of those moments.
I was playing something else, you know.
Yeah. When we were seeing you at the Shed in Eugene afterwards, we got some art from you, and you were showing us your prints, and I said, why don't you go ahead and pick one for us? And you chose John Hartford. We still have that sitting in our living room on display.
Oh, thank you.
Someday, my baby, when I am a man, and others have taught me the best that they can, they'll sell me a suit and cut off my hair and send me to work in tall buildings So it's goodbye to the sunshine, goodbye to the dew, goodbye to the flowers, and goodbye to you. I'm off to the subway, I must not be late. I'm going to work in tall buildings, let the banjo play. Now when I retire and my life is my own, I made all my payments, it's time to go home. I wonder what happened betwixt and between when I went to work in tall buildings. So it's goodbye to the sunshine, goodbye to the dew, goodbye to the flowers, and goodbye to you. I'm off to the subway, I must not be late. I'm going to work in tall buildings. I'm going to work in tall buildings.
Danny Barnes on Smokin Jamgrass, KMUZ. That is a John Hartford tune played at the Hartford Memorial Festival, Bean Blossom, Indiana, back on June 2nd in 2012 in Tall Buildings. Boy, I sure love that one.
Yeah, that's a classic.
We're talking with Danny Barnes right now on Smokin Jamgrass. Can you tell us a little bit more about your art? I see so much of it online, and it's available on Etsy.
Well, I tell you, I draw a lot, and I've just been kind of getting in this world. It's called world building in my comic book friends. You know, like I have friends who are really good comic book artists, and it's called world building, where you go through this process, sort of developing a world with your look and your color palette and the way you want to make everything look. And it's sort of ugly at first because you just have to start doing it, you know, but over time you start to develop a world, you know, where, you know, like in my world, it's like hot rods and bluegrass and metal guys and motorcycles and drag racers and engines and audio gear and tape decks and monsters and aliens and vampires and Frankenstein and, you know, and flat track motorcycle racing and just all horror movies and just all this kind of weird old 50s comic books like Creepy and Eerie, you know, and just all this. And then bluegrass, you know, do a lot of stuff based off of, you know, bluegrass has all these real macabre songs and stuff.
Yes.
So I don't know, I just been working on this look, and it came out of complete desperation because I never really drew before. It's kind of embarrassing, but I never have really drawn before. Oh. I just started doing it because I was destroyed I didn't have a job, you know. Like I had this record came out and all my jobs went away. One day I didn't have any income, you know, and so I just sort of started doing it, put stuff up on the internet, really out of desperation. I'd never really done it before. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I got into it and I started studying with the guy and reading a bunch of books about it and working at it really hard and putting in long days at it. I started to kind of develop a look, you know, and eventually I started seeing, you know, dudes that were running art galleries and stuff was getting interested in it, and people were getting interested and they'd license things for things, and I'd sell stuff, and it, you know, just turned into more or less a vocation for me, and an avocation and a vocation. And it's been really wonderful just because I have a whole different discipline, you know, to work on. I really enjoy creating things and making things.
Yeah.
And it's very, you know, because like records are tough because if you have a lot of ideas, and I write a lot of music, if you have a lot of ideas, you know, you put a record out and there's like 10 to 12 songs on it or something like that. And you kind of can't really put anything out for at least 18 months because otherwise you're just taking sales away from that one, really, you know.
Yeah.
You kind of got to let it cycle through, really. I mean, you can, but it ends up coming out of your end pretty hard, you know.
Yes.
So you kind of have to work it out when it's going to come out. You got to sort of figure out how to space that. It's kind of a science, and if you mess it up, you lose piles of money, you know.
Yeah.
Well, so you have to really plan that. But with drawing, I can just crank this stuff out. Like I have a lot of ideas, a lot of images, and a lot of things I'm working with and I like, and they're in my sort of palette, and I like to work with and things, and so I'm able just to make thousands and thousands of these images and stuff. I just sit here and draw, and it's really great for me. I really enjoy it, and it's another cool thing. It's really been what I didn't really realize is getting away from the whole traveling thing was really creative for me. You know, it's super creative to get away from doing that. Because all of a sudden I had all this time to make things, you know.
Right. So this has been going on since your last album, Man on Fire, came out.
More or less, yeah. More or less. Yeah. Like I was playing around and writing, doing things and making things and stuff like that, sort of screwing around with it for a couple of years prior to that, and it's just I don't know. It's like I have a look, and I have a lot of ideas, and I have a look and a feel, and it's not for everybody, but I think there's some people that really, I have collectors all over the place.
Yeah.
People that collect things and different types of stuff. I got guys who like to collect the ones about, you know, certain heavy metal guys or whatever, or ones that have certain bluegrass characters, or
yes.
Some guys are really into audio. I draw a lot of stuff with classic audio gear, like vintage tube compressors and stuff like that, and tape decks. I'm kind of fanatic about those things.
Yeah.
A lot of that. And a lot of guys there's guys that collect all my cowboy stuff and different things.
No good so-and-so. Well, he grabbed $40 and he took out the door. He went down the street to his favorite liquor store. He put a 9 on the clerk and said, open that drawer. Well, the clerk done hit the silent alarm. The cop came and took him in by the arm. He wound up sitting in the federal camp. Out in 10 years to do it all again. Charlie was a no-good man. He woke up doing the worst that he can. Charlie was a no-good man. Told him how to get relief, talking about Jesus with the Jesus freaks. Sunday morning he flew out the door when he got him with them junkies and uptown horse. People don't mind if you bother no one, but if you're breaking in home, you're gonna get the gun. Gather round, boys, I tell you a tale about a no good man who spent his life in jail. Charlie was a no good man. He woke up doing the worst that he can. Charlie was a no good man. had chances to get it right. I stopped in the car in the middle of the night. Instead of spending time taking what you need, shooting that dope and smoking that speed. Well, he went downtown for a little 40 rock. He's sitting in a jail watching the clock. He went downtown for a little 40 rock, and now he's sitting in a jail cell watching the clock. Charlie was a no good man. He woke up doing the worst that he can. Charlie was a no good man.
It's Smokin Jamgrass on KMUZ. We just heard the one and only Danny Barnes playing his track Charlie, January 26, 2012. It's a great example of his folktronic, barnyard folktronics style that he created, where he's just up there with a banjo and a couple laptops doing samples and integrating electronica and bluegrass together. Before there was Dust in the Baggie with Billy Strings, there was Danny Barnes and Charlie.
Danny Barnes is with us on the phone here on KMUZ, and that song, Charlie, by the way, it really does bring a character to mind. Are you planning on doing a comic book or anything like that out of all this art that you're creating?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm really starting to think about that, how to do that. Even though the problem with comic books is kind of like the problem with records is it takes time to develop them, and then you have to sink a lot of money / time, which is the same thing, whatever it is, effort or whatever, into it. And then you got to worry about selling them, and the margin is a little bit lower. You know, one thing about original art, it has a lot higher margin, and I don't know, the work over recompense is favorable. Whereas with, you know, when you go to make a record or something like that, it's kind of like one of the traps is that, you know, you kind of got to, because you got to compete with like Frank Sinatra and stuff like that when you make records, you know?
Yeah.
Because like Frank Sinatra sells more records now than he did when he was new, you know, like guys like that, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, you really got to put your thinking cap on about how you're going to do it and all that stuff. But which I'm happy to do. It's nice to have a little bit more time to work on it. Like I'm always working on stuff.
Yeah. So we saw that you're working on the Ambient Volume 1.
Yes, I came out with that record a few years ago, but I came up with the idea of drawing the covers individually, you know, hand drawing them.
Oh, cool.
And so every cover is different, and I found these covers that are just like blank, and they're made of recycled material.
Nice.
And they hold ink pretty well, and so I charge $20, but I custom make the cover for each one.
Cool.
And the music is my barnyard electronics music. It's like an aesthetic that I developed over a period of time that I'm kind of into, you know, that I can make that sound here at home, you know, at my leisure, as it were.
The mixologist.
And, it's a sound that I'm into, you know, and it's got like elements of old stuff with elements of really new, like contemporary sort of editing techniques and processing combined with folk music, you know.
Yeah, the folktronics. I mean, you're an audio guy. You got a degree to prove it, you know, and boy, you're really putting it to work.
Well, I made records with a lot of really great producers and stuff, you know, and I got to watch a lot of the great guys make records, and so I learned a lot. And the reason why I wanted to do it was so I could use their techniques on my own, you know. Like I wanted to learn how they were doing what they were doing, and I got to make records with a lot of great guys, and I learned a lot about doing that from working with people like that, you know.
Yeah. You know, I wonder, you know, Earl would think about, you know, seeing you with the Apple laptop up there, you know, just busting it down with the banjo. I mean, it's just it was so amazing to see that style.
I worked on that, Rascal. That took me so long to develop that. Like, it took me 4 years to get it going.
Wow.
Because I had to learn how to program computers, because to get the computer to do what you wanted to do, I had to like build a program, and I didn't really know how to do that. So I had to just learn this language myself. I found a tutor guy that taught that language at University of Southern California down there, and he helped me get the language together, you know, and helped me to learn how to code in that language. It's an object-oriented programming language called Max MSP. And I developed that over about 4 years, and I worked really hard on that, but I felt like that was like a really great thing, but I never really got people to write about it or get excited about it too much. I did about, 800, 1,200 shows with that production. I did one show at the Red Rocks. It was probably 9,500 people that opened for Yonder. They're a huge band. I opened for them there, and it was a good show, and I was able to, one guy with a computer, it's pretty far out. I thought it was pretty far out. I got a lot of good compliments about it, but like I played at Bonnaroo and different things. But it was like, I don't know. It's like I never could get anybody to really write about it, to get excited about what was going on with it intellectually, which was that I was combining, older American forms of music with more like contemporary, like the people that use that sort of language are like the dude in Bjork, like the Bjork uses that, it's a kind of a common software in electronic music and more contemporary stuff.
It's
taught in academically and stuff like that. It's and you use it like YouTube. I know Radiohead uses it. You can control lighting and things with the music and vice versa and stuff. And it's a really interesting environment and stuff like that.
I think there
was a lot kind of going on. I thought, sort of intellectually or conceptually or whatever, but I just never could get that over the fence. I was trying really hard with it. Like I literally played about 1,200 shows with that setup, and it took me like 4 years to make it.
Well, I thought it was Danny. I thought it was genius. I mean, it really was like.
I really enjoyed doing it because it was really liberating. Because you could just make everything. If you didn't like it, you could just blip it away, and I could bring in like samples. And just do all this different kinds of stuff. It was really as an idea guy, it was very liberating.
I
mean, have a band, you kind of gotta tell them how everything's gonna go, or they interpret it. It's not really the way you want them to do it, or whatever. And then you're constantly working on this democratic process. Whereas with that process, you just went right to work. There was nothing in between you and the concept. You just did it. Like if you thought, it'd be really funny to do is to slow the banjo part down about 8 times and make a bass line out of it.
Oh, that is cool.
And you just do it. And because I had it all laid out on, in the computer, in the program, in the language, I had a little interface built that would allow me to manipulate all the different levels of distortion and the different effects. I had tons of effects, and also it was a VST host, really good VST host. So you could there's a lot of VSTs that for signal processing that are available. They're just little bits of software, So you could run like all this stuff in it as well. I've got a lot of pre-written software. Also, you could just kind of hook it all up inside that domain. So it gave you a lot of flexibility and power. But I never got, you'd think like I could have got like the gear people to write about it, because it was kind of like a really interesting use of the gear.
Right.
But I don't know, man. I ran that up the flagpole a bunch of times. I really thought I was onto something with that. But that's
I think you are.
Where I really thought I had something,
You're ahead of your time.
A gigantic failure.
No. The innovation of that, I mean, it'll live on forever because, I mean, you're really like, it took like a traditional, old school, old timey sound, and you're taking the new technology. I mean, you've always embraced change.
It's just amazing.
So innovative, and
that's what I was trying to do. I really thought I had something.
I think you still got something, Danny. I think it's still to come.
Well, there's a lot of videos of it and stuff, and but I don't know. It's like I never could get that one to get traction. It's like it's like being stuck in the snow. You're trying to get out and the tires just spinning.
It blew my mind when I saw it. It really blew my mind. I was all the sounds.
I thought I had something, man. I thought I had something.
I think you do, Danny.
See, because like flying to the gig, I could put my headphones on the plane and I could tweak the show and figure out, it'd be really cool is if this drove this thing instead. I could rewire it, and I'd have like a little wave file of banjo playing, so I could run the banjo basically, through the system and check it, so I could test it like on the plane. You could move things around and alter things and write things and do things and then, land at the gig and drive over to the show and you could just do it, and at the end I was getting into where I cracked into the camera of the computer, and I figured out how I could manipulate the camera feed, and relate the camera feed to the music and the music to the camera feed, where like the music could affect the video and the video could affect the music and stuff. And so you could have, streaming applications for that and live concerts on the internet, all these things you could do with that. That was, generating video and interacting with music and stuff. I was pretty excited about it.
Well, the cool thing about it is, it's all you. There's not a lot of, there's no ego in a computer. You don't got, it's just yourself.
Well, it does a really good job of doing what you tell it to do. I got to say, that's one thing about computers is, man, you just tell them if, the trouble is if you just use pre-written software, you got to do what it says.
Yes, right.
Yes.
But if you flip it around, and that's what's so exciting about Linux and stuff like that, if you become the administrator of your own computer, you can sort of tell it what to do, and then you start doing stuff, because it's like it's your slave rather than vice versa, I suppose.
Yeah.
Wow.
We were at that rehearsal all week to get this.
Danny Barnes on Smokin Jamgrass here on KMUZ. That was Isotope 709, performed at the Kennedy School again in Portland, Oregon on January 26, 2012. He was just sitting up there by himself on the stage. It sounds like there's like 12 people on the stage with him, and I really think he's ahead of his time there.
Yeah, we're super lucky to have Danny on the line with us today. Well, congratulations on being Grammy nominated on Man of Fire. That's it's such a great album.
I'm glad you like that. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, it's really good, man.
Thank you.
Are you working? Are you? I know it's a lot. It's a lot for you to be. Like you're saying, it takes a while to recycle through. Are you writing anything lately?
Yeah, I've got tons of new music. If any of your listeners will follow me they're on my mailing list, I constantly put out music on my mailing list to my hardcore fans. And so you kind of want to, if you're interested in what I'm doing, you kind of want to be on my mailing list. Okay. And there's really no way of getting on it unless you email me. Like you kind of got to figure out how to get a hold of me. Like it's not really obvious how to get a hold of me because
it's like a treasure hunt.
Yeah,
it's a little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit mysterious.
Well, you were saying, Danny. There's a bunch of where I've been studying all week. Kind of nervous to talk to you and preparing, just trying to not.
Have you heard? Did you hear the test tapes?
No.
We read about
this
it.
This friend of mine was in that band Ministry. You know who Ministry
is?
Oh,
yeah. Yes.
Anyway, my friend was in Ministry for 9 years, and we made this punk rock band called the Test Tapes. And we put out, I don't know, there's like 10 videos or whatever of music and stuff. We did 3 or 4 records and stuff.
Yeah,
it's more on the punk rock experimental side.
Yeah, Ministry is huge. I mean, you have the connection to the Butthole Surfers too, right? It wasn't the.
Well, yeah, I've worked a lot with Jeff Pincus, the bass player, and then Paul Leary produced our first record, and we toured a lot with the Butthole Surfers back in the day.
Yeah.
But I've made some records with Jeff Pincus and done some touring with him, and he plays the banjo and writes songs as well. And so I've helped him with records and engineered some stuff for him, and he's worked with him a lot,
Danny, just to circle back to where people can find you, because now you've got my interest piqued. Do we go to DannyBarnes.com?
Well, I don't really update the site. The best thing to do is to go catch me on Instagram, because on Instagram, even though I hate to say corporate names like that, I just hate to say names out loud. It's such a hassle.
You can say social media.
That's the way to get it, is I'm on there. I just put up art a lot on there. So when I sell art, a lot of times I just put it on there. Like I just sold a piece this morning of Earl Scruggs driving a rail dragster, and I just sold it just right before y'all called, and I just put it up on Instagram, and then a lot of guys buy my art, and they follow me on that Etsy too. They follow me on there,
right? Etsy.
When I put something up on there, they can buy it. Yeah.
Great.
I love
the mailing list. If you're really into what I'm doing, the mailing list is really cool because I put out new music every month.
Oh wow!
And I do a new video every month. I put out and with either a track or a video. Most of the time, I make a video for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like if you have a chance, look up on YouTube. Look up The Strangest Places. It's a video that I made of shadow play that I did.
Nice. Yeah, I've seen.
I'm sorry to mention like 3 giant corporations in one. So unfortunate that we have.
We're just slaves to this, you know.
Exactly. What are you going to do? It's a part of where we look for things, and so that you can't avoid it. But I hear what you're saying.
I try to not even utter their names. I try to come up with clever ways of saying it without saying it, because it's like they just turn everybody into a walking ad, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
It's nice though, we can connect with you, you know. Like
that's the way.
Being off the road, all those tens of thousands of shows, all those so many miles that you've driven, and getting to gigs and everything, and you know, we can still stay in contact with you this way. So at least there's something good coming out of it, you know.
Yeah,
and you know, if you like what I'm doing, that mailing list is really cool, because I write like a letter every month, kind of talking about art and music and stuff, and then usually have a new piece of art up, and then I'll have usually a video and or a track, and then there's a lot of art goes up on. There's probably 6 or 7 pieces a week that go up on IG. You know.
Nice.
Okay. Nice. Speaking of which, I saw a piece of art on IG. And the song that you were on, and that's where I discovered you contributed to Jason Carter's new album, Lowdown Hoedown. In fact, Hoedown for my lowdown rowdy ways. You did some art for that one.
Yeah, I wrote that song for Jason.
Nice.
I love it. We listened to it. He was kind enough to send us that track, and it's not a new.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it is.
Well, you know, the demo of it's on YouTube. I got a demo of it on my YouTube channel there. You can hear what I sent him for the demo. It went out to my mailing. So that's the kind of stuff I sent to my mailing list, was the demo for that. Yeah. I was real proud of that he did that. And it was really an honor, because a lot of those guys that play those different instruments are like the best guys in their field, you know, Tim O'Brien and David Greer and all those guys.
Yeah.
Man, those are the best. Jason himself, I mean, those are like the best guys, really, you know.
Yeah, he can saw some logs. Wow.
That guy's incredible. He's a great singer. I'm glad to see him put out a record, because he's a great singer.
Great voice.
Got that good baritone voice, you know.
Mm-hmm. Such a deep voice. He's
really good singer. Yeah, he's an unmined gem there a little bit on his singing, I think, because I mean, he could easily front a band, even though he's in the greatest band in the world. I don't know how you can't even be in a band. 2 of them, really.
Yeah,
right.
No
exactly.
Bands. Holy cow!
I mean,
Say, Dirks, what we gonna do? Jason, I'm gonna throw a little hoedown for my lowdown rowdy way. I'm in for that. They got money at the sawmill and the company car, stealing in the storeroom for my whole reward. What the hell is that? Sitting in the church house, I pine for better days. I'm gonna throw a little hoedown for my lowdown rowdy way. That's right. Got my picture in the paper, copping a plea. Got a brand new lawyer, the court appointed me. Tell my wife and my children I'm home in 90 days. I'm gonna throw a little hoedown for my lowdown rowdy way. I'll pick it. Talk of the town. Funny when you feel the pressure, it goes settling down. devil meets it at the measure. Yep, 3/4 time I say, I'm gonna throw a little hoedown for my low-down rowdy ways. Gonna throw a little hoedown for my low-down rowdy ways. What do you say we go get us some beer? Near beer.
Smokin Jamgrass on KMUZ. That's Hoedown for My Lowdown Rowdy Ways. Jason Carter and Danny Barnes. Danny Barnes wrote that song a few years ago for Jason Carter, and Jason Carter just released it on his latest album that just came out, Lowdown Hoedown.
Yeah, super stoked to have Danny Barnes on with us today. The big hot question is, when is the Bad Livers
reunion?
Yeah, when is the Hell Freezes Over
we
tour?
We love to do that. At some point, we love to do that. We love to play. I mean, Mark and I, we play. We definitely play. But I don't know. I think for me, there's a little bit too much shooting going on right now. They're gonna have to shoot it out for a while before I go anywhere. It looks too weird out there for me. But but maybe someday we would.
Yeah, let the dust settle. Yeah, I hear you, buddy.
Yeah, it's like gunfight at the OK Corral. You know, it's sad, but anyway. Yeah. Hey, listen. You guys take care.
You too, Danny. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Danny Barnes on Smokin Jamgrass here on KMUZ. Can you believe it?
Wow. Yeah, well, it was just a real great honor to have him on the air, and looking forward to the next show. We got a big special one planned out for John Hartford's birthday. We're going to get an all John Hartford inspired show, so y'all stand by on that one.
In the meantime, y'all have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah and whatever else you want to celebrate as we close the door on 2022.
Happy Festivus for the rest of us. We love you guys. All y'all take care of each other out there. Much love.
Much love.
You and I headed straight into the west. Sun is rising behind, we're headed straight into the darkness. And it's been so long since I've seen you, but I